Twisted love. What is it? Twisted love is the term that I use to help explain and define unhealthy relationships in adulthood. What does that mean? Let's take your relationship as an example. List out what you experience in that relationship, how you treated, and what emotions do you feel. Does your partner treat you well? Does he or she criticize you, condemn you, judge you? Does he or she ignore you? Do they not give you enough attention? Do you feel emotionally invisible? When you look at that list, you'll say, this is unhealthy love. Another way to look at it is to say it's twisted love. But where did that twisted definition of love come? It comes from childhood, from negative childhood programming. What does that mean? Whatever you experienced as a child will become your definition of love. But that experience is based on three things: your relationship with your father, your relationship with your mother, and the relationship between them. You'll take those three elements, or those three dynamics, and form your own subconscious definition of love. Usually, it's ultimately broken down to one thing. What did you do to get attention, or what kind of attention was given to you? As a child, attention is the equivalent of love. Love is defined by attention. Therefore, if your parents gave you attention, but only in the form of criticism or judgment or abuse or bullying, then you're going to believe that's love. If you had to fight or scream or yell or shout or do even outrageous things to get attention, then that will be your definition of love. In other words, the only way that you believe you can get love is to repeat that pattern. You might also take on a twisted definition of love by seeing the dynamic between your mother and father and concluding that is also how men and women should treat each other. It can also be the way that your mother or father treated you, and therefore you believe that's all you deserve, what I call the law of deservedness. You only get what you subconsciously believe you deserve, and if you get more, you sabotage it, push it away, or don't enjoy it. But what that means in terms of twisted love is that what you experienced as a child will then form your definition of love. Then you repeat that pattern in adult relationships, one after another. So, step number one is to list out what do you experience in your relationships. What is the pattern? When you look at that pattern, you might say, relationship number one, I experienced these 10 things. In relationship two, I experienced these 6 things. In relationship number 3, I experienced these 7 things. Now look at what's common and create a fourth list. With that fourth list, you're going to find out what is your true definition of love. And of course, you'll usually realize that it's a twisted definition of love. And your twisted definition of love might be, he abuses me, he doesn't talk to me, he ignores me, he doesn't give me any money, he doesn't give me freedom, he doesn't listen to me, he doesn't treasure or prize my opinion, I don't have a voice, etc. Those elements, those components form your twisted definition of love. Can you change a twisted definition of love? Can you transform twisted love into healthy love? Yes, you can. But we'll look at that in another video. Step number one, write out what you're experiencing in your adult relationship. Step number 2, write out how that compares with what you experienced as a child. Look at not only the actual behavioral dynamics of what you're experiencing, but also the emotions that you're experiencing. Then compare them with what you experienced behaviorally as a child and what you experienced emotionally as a child. And you're going to see there's a lot of similarity. You might simply say, who does my partner remind me of? My mum or my dad? Or the relationship between my mum and dad. Step number 1, let's get clear about what is twisted love. In the next video, we'll then talk about how you can change and transform that twisted love into healthy, fulfilling, and satisfying love.